Good morning, everyone. My name is Paco, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our daily get together every morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. We look through the latest headlines of things that are going on near and far, and we share a cup of coffee and we keep connected through this crazy time that we're living now. Today, we have a special guest, so we will skip our welcomes for a little while, but I want to tell you a little bit about this guest that is joining us today. 8 days ago, local community member Paul Crist launched a campaign on GoFundMe to raise funds to feed local families in need. His goal was to collect $10,000. Well, I'm happy to report that 8 days later, the campaign has managed to raise $8,865. Paul is the owner of Hotel Mercurio, a very successful gay hotel here in Puerto Vallarta, as well as Mercurio Swim, a line of swimwear for men. To tell us how these funds have been put to very good use, I'd like to welcome today's guest, Paul Crist. Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, familiarities aside, people that know me and know you know that we're very dear friends and that I miss you terribly because you're all the way in Washington, D.C. Let's just dive into this. How did this initiative come to be?
Well, actually, it was not my initiative initially. It was my husband, Luis Tello, and his friend Valeria and Angie Starr, who is one of the local drag performers and a trans activist. And they really put their own resources together for the first couple of days and were buying dispenses, which is in English a food basket, which is about a week's worth of food for one or two people. So dispenses is a much easier word to describe that. So they were buying dispenses and started delivering them. And I was chatting with Luis on the telephone a little over a week ago, and we kind of came up with the idea of a GoFundMe campaign. And I thought, oh, okay, I've never done this before. The platform works, but I'll give it a try. And so I did by 3 a.m. I literally sat up till 3 a.m., figuring this all out. I had launched the campaign.
So let me emphasize something here, because this is really important. This is not a government initiative. This is just a nice group of friends, Puerto Vallarta residents, that decided to do something good for the community. Is that correct?
That is correct. And there are a lot of people who are stepping up right now. It's our group and many others. And what's really interesting is that there's a lot of crossover. So there are people that are participating with us, and we're participating with other groups. And so it's all been put together so quickly that it may seem chaotic, but it's having a huge impact for a lot of people.
As we're having this conversation, Paul, I am showing our viewers some of the images that Luis has captured as he's going around the city and surrounding municipalities. Can you tell us a little bit about the places that he's gone? Actually, before you tell us that, how many dispenses have been distributed to date?
As of last night, I talked to Luis, and they were at 787, I believe it was.
Wow.
I don't have the number in front of me, but it's very, very close to 800. So that's 800 households that have gotten some help.
Wow, that is really extraordinary.
And it's not just... the dispensa is sort of basic stuff like beans and lentils and oatmeal and fruits and vegetables and cooking oil and sugar. But now they are also buying baby formula and baby diapers, adult diapers for older people that need them, because there's a lot of need in the older community. All sorts of additional things that they're finding that people need. And also masks. So we've been making masks through my swimwear company. We're not making swimwear anymore, so we're sewing masks, and we're giving those to Luis to distribute with food so that these people actually have some personal protection as well.
That is excellent. For those folks that are joining us today, we are having a nice conversation with Paul Crist, who has put together this amazing fundraising campaign, which if you see a little URL on top of my head, it's the URL that you can use to also contribute to this campaign. The campaign has a very long name, so I've used a shortener. So if you just go to bit.ly, bit.ly/Vallarta Food Fund, this is a place where you can also donate to this wonderful cause. And I noticed this morning, Paul, that you actually raised the goal to $15,000. Tell us about that.
Well, when I was setting this campaign up at 3:00 in the morning, I thought it would be great if we could raise $1,000, and Luis and I were back and forth on the phone, and neither of us slept much that night. He was like, "No, you should make it $5,000." And by like a day and a half later, we were at $2,000 or $3,000, and I thought that we would raise this by the end of May. And I was like, "Oh no, like 5,000 is not enough. We should change it to 10,000." And now we're almost at 10,000. So, and we've got a long way to go before this is over. I mean, this lockdown is not going to be over in a week or 2 weeks. So the need is going to continue. So I want to continue raising funds and helping the people in Vallarta help the people in Vallarta for as long as it needs to happen.
We have a great question for you, Paul, from Gail Fuller, who joins us regularly. Gail asks, with all the different charities, how do you all figure out where to take the packages, and does DEEF give guidance for which colonias are in need? Where has Luis gone and his team, and how does he come up with these destinations?
Okay, DEEF is not involved at all, and I have not heard anything about DEEF providing dispenses for families. My husband Luis is a Vallarta native and knows thousands and thousands of people from all walks of life all over the city. So he just kind of knows where the colonias are. They've been to Magisterio and El Progreso, which is out near the regional hospital. These are, very marginal communities. Most of the roads in those neighborhoods are not paved. Not all the houses are connected with drainage. They've been to Los Altos de Coapinole, which is I know Coapinole. It's in kind of in the highlands of Pitillal, and that is where a lot of the beach vendors live. And most of them are indigenous, and I didn't know this, but a lot of them barely speak Spanish, and just enough Spanish and English, to sell their wares on the beach, and very marginal community. So he's been there. Yesterday, they went to some towns south of Puerto Vallarta, Gargantillo and La Guapa. The older communities in those neighborhoods, in these farming villages that are outside of Puerto Vallarta proper, a lot of the adult children have come to Puerto Vallarta for the jobs. The parents are still in these little villages, and the kids are sending money home, but now the kids don't have any jobs to send money home. So they went and delivered 120 dispenses in some of the towns south of Puerto Vallarta. And they have also, they've been distributing to in the Zona Romantica, the waiters, the meseros, the bartenders, the people that work the shows, the dancers, the drag shows, the singers. These are all people that don't have formal employment, and so now they have nothing, and so they've been delivering dispenses in Paco's Ranch. Has a parking lot on Las Ricardas, and so they've been distributing from there. So they've been kind of in a lot of different colonias, just because the people that are involved in this know where the poorest neighborhoods are, and you know, there are lists. David Villaseñor, who is one of the bartenders at Las Margaritas on Lázaro Cárdenas, he's been doing altruistic work for years, toy drives at Christmas and all sorts of things. So he's working with Luis and Valeria and Angie, and he's got lists of people that are, you know, marginal, living in poverty, in great need. And so we've been following some of those lists. Angie has lists of trans people and sex workers, and none of these people have income right now. So we have lists of people that are contacting us, and people that we know.
That is really wonderful. I checked out Luis's wall of the trip that they took to this place where all the families that work on the beach live. And I took it upon myself to subtitle a short video that he posted. And I did this because we want to make sure that all of those very nice people that join Coffee and Headlines every morning, who speak English and maybe don't speak Spanish, get a sense of as to what this means to the people that are receiving these food baskets and the gratitude that they feel. Let's take a quick look at this.
Ahorita toda la gente necesita, no nada más nosotros. Todos estamos así porque nadie trabaja. Y la verdad se les agradece mucho por acordarse de nosotros que estamos aquí. De verdad, les agradecemos bastante. Gracias por tomar su tiempo por nosotros.
¿De dónde son ustedes, señores?
Somos de Guerrero.
¿La mayoría?
Bueno, la mayoría sí. La mayoría, pero de verdad se les agradece bastante por gastar su tiempo en nosotros, porque en realidad toda la gente estamos así, toda la gente necesita, no nada más nosotros.
¿Y en qué trabaja la mayoría?
La mayoría trabajamos en la playa, la mayoría de aquí, y en realidad pues las playas cerraron muy temprano. Y pues nadie se lo esperaba esto. Todos estábamos trabajando tranquilos, nadie se lo esperó, aunque nos advirtieron que pues que ahorráramos, pero pues como nunca nos había pasado esto, la verdad dijimos, bueno.
That's really thought-provoking because so many of us spend our time at the beach, in the tourist areas. We don't know about these smaller colonias. We get a comment here from Tracy Parks at Encanto. Interesting information about the Colonia Sin PV. Such a difficult situation, of course. For better or worse, we all have our little microcosm here in Puerto Vallarta, and we don't see beyond the neighborhoods that we're familiar with. How do you think we can make people that live in Zona Romantica or in these tourist areas more aware of the reality of Puerto Vallarta, which is really an enormous city with a lot of contrasts in terms of demography and economics?
It's a challenge, because the Zona Romantica, the downtown tourist area, it's a floating population that a lot of them come and go, and a lot of them don't speak Spanish. And I think that what you're doing, you're taking a lot of the local headlines and explaining to people, because I am certain, and I speak pretty fluent Spanish, I am certain that most people really don't know what's going on. And so I think people doing what you're doing and people tuning in to see your show it's a huge service to the English-speaking community, many of whom come for 6 months or are, whatever, they're not full-time residents, and even those that are, they do live in their bubble. So it's important to, as long as they are not Spanish speakers, that we have people like you to sort of help inform them.
Let's switch gears for a moment, Paul. Just before the pandemic, you took off to go to Washington, D.C. to take care of an eye problem that had been
Yeah.
increasingly concerning for you. How are you doing? How is your health?
Doing well. I had a detached retina, which needed urgent surgery, and it happened just at the beginning of this pandemic. And I couldn't find a retina specialist in Guadalajara or Puerto Vallarta that was still taking patients. They were in the early process of closing down their clinics. So I started looking in DC, which is, I have a condo here. This is my other hometown, and found a retina specialist, flew out, literally got the surgery the next day. It's been a month now. I'm still blind in this eye, but vision will come back in gradually over a couple of months, and it'll be fine. Thank you.
That's good to hear, Paul. And also along those lines, let us not forget that you run a gay hotel in Puerto Vallarta, one of the most successful gay hotels in town, Hotel Mercurio, along with your line of swimwear for men, Mercurio Swim. It must be challenging to not know for certainty what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen with your employees, and the success of your enterprises. Do you have any sense as to how your recovery is going to take place, or when you will be able to begin receiving guests at the hotel again?
It's tough. We're in uncharted territory here. I would think that perhaps sometime in June we'll be able to reopen. We are completely closed down now. My manager is going in to do some administrative stuff on a daily basis, and I have one receptionist who is staying at the hotel at night just to keep an eye on things and make sure everything is secure. But it's extremely tough, and the government has not come forward to offer much in the way of help for small businesses. The government's response was basically pay your employees, pay your taxes, and that's it, and close down. So we're left with zero income. I have 22 employees. I am continuing to pay for now as long as I can, and paying my taxes, which I have managed to keep up with because I set aside money all winter so that I can get through the summer, but we're not going to have any set aside to get through the summer. So it's going to be tough for a very long time, but I hope that we can open maybe in June, but it's anybody's guess. It depends on the trajectory of the curve, as everybody is talking about.
Well, we're getting a lot of really heartfelt comments from our audience that are supporting what you're doing. There's a couple of other questions. Stacy Simonian asks, what about money for gas so that people can actually cook the food? Is this an issue? Is that where some money might go towards? Is Luis in this campaign involved in anything other than providing food?
No, we are not giving out money. The government actually, and I'm not sure if that is still going on, but they have been doing a program at the convention center, and people can go there and they can apply and get up to 5,000 pesos, which is not a lot of money, but I think that it would be difficult for us to get into the business of handing out cash. First of all, we don't have that much. I mean, $10,000, which has been our goal, may sound like a lot, but we're paying probably close to $20 in the food packages each that we're handing out. So $10,000, we've handed out getting close to 800 food packages. doesn't leave a lot of money that we can support with cash to people. We can't do everything, it's going to take a village. And a lot of the food that we're delivering, there's a lot of fruits and vegetables that don't necessarily have to be cooked, but there's also, there's beans and lentils and oatmeal and things like that kind of do have to be cooked. And, I don't have a great answer for that other than that we can't really be in the business of handing out cash to people. We just don't have the resources to do that.
Now, I'm going to put something up on the screen. You won't be able to see it, but because somebody brought it up, I want the people that are joining us to meet the wonderful Eileen to the left, also known as Rosa Melano. So, Rosa Melano, and also known as Eileen to the left, has just appeared on the screen. Paul, tell us about Eileen, please.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so
actually, before you start, let me tell you why I'm asking, Paul, because we need to keep our sense of humor. We need to keep ourselves laughing. We need to be mindful of what's going on, but we need to keep ourselves laughing. A little while ago, while you were talking, Tracy Parks mentioned the budding drag performer Eileen to the left, also known as Rosa Melano, who everybody, or those who know her, miss her. Can you tell us about this mythical creature?
Well, she is currently living in a bag in the closet at my house in Puerto Vallarta. She was born just last fall in October. Paco's Ranch always does a manager's night where they invite the owners or managers of businesses in the gay business community to do a show, and it is a fundraiser for CETAC and Capacits, which is the gay and lesbian center and HIV education healthcare provider. And we had always participated, but it was always one of my staff that always did the show because I have no talent. And finally, last October, they did their manager's night. And I thought, really, it's my turn. I really should do this. So I decided what I was going to do. I did 2 Shirley Bassey songs because I adore Shirley Bassey. And I got up in drag. I had a makeup artist do my face and borrowed a dress and a wig. And Eileen to the left was born. And she's been performing on Sundays at Hotel Mercurio at our Beers, Boys, and Burgers party ever since. I just decided it was fun.
Well, I certainly hope that more and more people get to know Eileen when you rejoin her. It's unfortunate that she's not with you in Washington, D.C. I actually think that she should travel with you wherever you go, because you just never know when she may become handy. I would have loved to interview Eileen today.
Okay, maybe next time. But she will be back. She will be back.
I want you to know, Paul, that we are very, very appreciative of everything that you and yours are doing. You are a great example for our community and a great source of inspiration for anyone who comes to Puerto Vallarta, speaks English, and makes the personal choice to become more intertwined with the life of us that are born and raised in this country. I'm really, really grateful that you're here with us. And I hope you will take the time to go back and look at the interview, because there's all these wonderful, heartfelt comments of support that are coming in for you and your team. And when are you coming back? Do you have any specific dates?
Well, I saw my eye doctor yesterday, and she reiterated that there is to be no travel until the 1st of June. So I'm probably not going to be back before the 1st of June. That's what it's looking like right now.
Well, between now and then, I hope you will stay safe. I hope you will stay healthy. And most importantly, I hope you will keep your wonderful sense of humor always.
Always. Thank you so much.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Paul Crist, also known as Eileen to the Left. What a great time. And now that we're back here, before we move on with our usual format, I want to make sure that we have sound. We have sound. This is great. Thank you so very much for letting us start with this interview today. I'm going to leave Paul's URL up on the screen for the remainder of the program so that we can all continue to support this wonderful initiative to raise money for people that need help obtaining food and all these basic things that we sometimes take for granted. Let's take a quick look at a handful of headlines that I put together for you for today. Needless to say, we start with Paul's campaign. Who would have imagined that in less than a week, well, a day, a little over a week, the campaign would raise $8,865. As I mentioned, Paul has increased the goal of the campaign to $15,000. Paul was very eloquent in saying this is not something that is going to go away overnight. We are going to continue to be mindful of one another and help ourselves and help our community as much as we can as we move forward. I also want to report that some California beaches started to open, and the governor at the same time is pleading to people to stay home. I imagine that the effort to open the beaches is a calculated effort, but it is also interesting to say that California has 39,254 confirmed positive cases of COVID-19. Most of what we know about opening the beaches and opening life as we know it is that it has to happen progressively. We will have to see how the decisions to open our own business, our own everyday lives unfold as the government of Jalisco starts making those decisions, probably sometime during the month of June. To that effect, we keep track on the daily conferences that Hugo Lopez-Gatell is giving every day. And of course, 2 days ago, we're a little concerned that one of the reporters that attends the daily conferences turned out to be positive for COVID-19 and actually came in direct contact with 11 people, of which only one is right now considered as suspicious. We hope that this is not becoming a situation in which our very own spokesperson for this pandemic turns out to be positive. We wish him well and all the people that attend those daily conferences. I want to introduce you, if you don't know it yet, there's this wonderful man named by the name of Leo Babauta. He has a website called Zen Habits, and I don't think there is anyone in the world, well, there could be. Of course there are. What am I talking about? It's Sunday. I'm going to make mistakes. There are many people that speak about wellness and well-being online, and Leo Babauta is one of the best people you can be reading when it comes to finding our own balance, finding our own purpose, so forth and so on. He has written an essay called The New Normal, which is absolutely on the mark for things that are going on right now and the opportunities that result from this situation that we're living in. I'm going to give you the links for this in the show notes. And for those of you that are new to this broadcast, at the end of each broadcast, I take all the URLs, all the web addresses of everything that we talk about. I put them together in a nice list, and I add it to the description of the show so that you can go and research these topics on your own time. I also want to point out to a little bit more humor. Brad Pitt turned out in Saturday Night Live playing Anthony Fauci. As it turns out, a reporter asked Dr. Anthony Fauci a few days ago, what actor would you see yourself being portrayed as? Or what actor do you think you would like to see perform you on Saturday Night Live? And Anthony Fauci replied, Brad Pitt. I suspect that the reporter that asked was in the know that Brad Pitt was going to be a guest star in the show. So This weekend, last night, Brad Pitt became Anthony Fauci. I'm going to leave you the link on YouTube in case you want to watch this. And for those people that follow political commentary from the United States, Randy Rainbow, a comedian known to turn known songs into political musical parodies, decided to make a combination between Mary Poppins' Spoonful of Sugar and Donald Trump's charming statements related to drinking Clorox to get rid of the virus. And this resulted on a spoonful of Clorox. The song is absolutely funny. You're going to love it. I'm going to give you the URL for that, of course. Also, 2 days ago, we spoke about NASA's Hubble telescope celebrating its 30th anniversary, which happened 2 days ago. And NASA has now published a new photograph, including a video that explains this photograph that depicts the birth of a star. I found it really, really fascinating. Also in the humor department, I found this charming video of Anderson Cooper interviewing Leslie Jordan. Leslie Jordan is this one-of-a-kind, wonderful, really short man, a comedian, an actor. We've seen him on Will and Grace and many other television shows, and he's been a regular performer here in Puerto Vallarta. Well, he had a nice exchange with Leslie Jordan, with Anderson Cooper, because Leslie Jordan has been using his Instagram account to publish wonderful, wonderful videos of himself that, again, are meant to bring a little bit of a laugh into our lives, a little bit of a smile. So I'm going to share that with you as well. And last but not least, I am mindful of the fact that today, 34 years ago, a nuclear reactor accident occurred at Chernobyl. And this in the Soviet Union, and this resulted in one of the worst nuclear disasters, or in fact the worst nuclear disaster. I'm going to show you the trailer of, I'm going to give you the link of the trailer for Chernobyl, which is a wonderful series that HBO put together. It's dark, it's grim, it's absolutely depressing, but it's very captivating. It is beautifully done, and it's something that, even though it is very depressing, this is something that we may want to watch now, because it is a good reminder of what happens when we don't take things seriously, and all of a sudden we have a major catastrophe happening in the world. You're still here, and that makes me very happy. Let me take a quick look at some of your comments. I'm going to skip good mornings because it's wonderful to see so many of you joining us now. Hello, everyone. Hello, Pam Thompson, working on a program to pay CFE bills. Let's see. Scott Glave thanks us for this information. It's particularly helpful for those of us who are sheltering in place in the U.S. Those of us that here in Puerto Vallarta should be thankful to people like you, Scott, because even though you're far away, you're being mindful of what's going on here in Puerto Vallarta. If you live here full time, I hope you can come back soon. If you live in Puerto Vallarta seasonally and you think of our city as part of your home, we're always grateful that you keep us in mind. We're also joined by Angie Starr, who's one of the performers that is a regular at Paul's Hotel, and she's one of the volunteers involved in the food campaign. A lot of favorable comments from you for Paul, and I am very, very grateful for that. And I think Paul will be too once he has a chance to see these comments. Love you and miss you. This is great. Gail Fuller loves the name. Eileen to the left. Gail, I tell you, once we go back to a new sense of normal, I suggest you stick around Hotel Mercurio one of those Sundays for beers, boys, and burgers. She is a tour de force. Paul gets more thank yous from Ray Vallarta. Tips from Candace Shaw. It's always great to see you here in the show. Paul thinks that Eileen has operated some voodoo on him and it's possessing his body for good. I like Paul and I like Eileen. I really hope we can continue to have a little bit of a choice between one and the other. Tracy Parks tells us that he tried to get Randy Rainbow to come to Encanto. Hopefully he will come, because I think he would be a huge hit here in Puerto Vallarta. And it's great to see you all, and it's great to see you all reacting favorably to what we're trying to do here. I am, as I've been saying for the last couple of days, we're reaching our first month doing Coffee and Headlines, and I couldn't be more humbled by the opportunity to have this space and share it with you. All I can do is show my gratitude by, drinking more coffee with you and inviting you to spread the word, inviting you to share your tips, your information with me, so that if you hear of some good initiatives, good ideas, good suggestions, people that need to connect, this is the place where we're trying to do all of this. And that's what we have for today. As always, I thank you for staying connected. I thank you for coming back, and I will see you again tomorrow morning. Have a great Sunday, and I will see you tomorrow.